So once again, I'd like to give a little bit of the background of the story, just to refresh your memory about some of the customs of that time. As I mentioned, the Samaritans now, as I mentioned last week, in Israel is basically divided into 3 states. Galilee in the north, Samaria in the middle, Judea in the south. The great temple of the Jews is in Judea, so that was the more important section. As you remember, Jerusalem was destroyed by the Babylonians in 587. And the Babylonians took most of the influential Jews from Judea into exile. But they didn't bother much with the Samaritans. So the Samaritans stayed in the land. And during that time of exile, they intermarried. Samaritans were Jews, but they intermarried with the Gentiles and the pagans. So when the king of Persia allowed the Jews to come back out of exile in Babylon to Jerusalem to rebuild the city, they thought that the Samaritans were second-class citizens because they had intermarried with others than Jewish people. And so it developed a great hatred between the two. The Orthodox Jews, if you want to call them that, they wouldn't even speak to the Samaritans. If they went from Galilee to Judea, they usually went around Samaria to avoid them. That's why when Jesus told the parable of the Good Samaritan, the people would have laughed. That was an oxymoron. You know, 2 words next to each other that are opposites, government intelligence. That's what that was a Good Samaritan story. Now remember that Israel is a very small country, as I said last week, quoting Dr. Dan Scholz. It's a long, narrow country. From the north to the south is Sheboygan to Chicago, and from Mediterranean Sea, it's from Lake Michigan to Madison. That's Israel. That's what we're talking about. Now, secondly, in that culture, men never spoke to a woman in public. A man could not even speak to his wife in public. And here Jesus is at the well, speaking to a Samaritan woman. It's unheard of. It would have been scandalous. Third, what was the woman doing at the well at noon? No respectable woman would go to the well at noon. The women of that time were in charge of the house and the meals and getting the water in the morning and the evening, never during the heat of the day. So this woman automatically was an outcast. She had 5 husbands. And again, remember in that culture, no woman could divorce a man. So she had been dumped by 5 other men. And the 6th husband wasn't her husband. He probably thought that she was to be avoided. Maybe that helps a little of the background of the story. Now, this particular gospel, John chapter 4, is long, as you know, and there are so many things to think about. So one of the scholars that I studied this week took that gospel and he divided into 4 sections. And I want to briefly go through them because it seems to bring the gospel deeper. Now, we're the Samaritan woman. Remember that. Jesus comes to us. That's why we're here. We don't come to Jesus. He comes to us. And he wants to give us living water. And as I said at the beginning, we thirst for so many things, but so often we just stay on the surface. But Jesus, as he challenges this woman, he's not talking about physical water. He's talking about those inner thirsts that we all have. And as I said at the beginning, so often we respond to them in inappropriate ways, sinful ways. And then he invites her into a deeper faith, to really believe. And because of the dialogue, she comes to see that he must at least be a prophet, someone who speaks for God. And then they talk about the temple. Because the Judea Jews rebuilt the temple of Jerusalem, they would not let the Samaritans in that temple. So they had to build their own temple on Mount Gerizim. So she wants to turn it into a theological debate because he was getting too close to her inner soul. And that's what we all do. When people get too close, we start talking about theology. And then she realizes that he is the Messiah. And what does she do? She goes and she starts spreading the message of Jesus to others. Living water, faith in Jesus, leading to true worship, not in buildings, but by our lives, and when we lead others to Christ. Now that's all good so far. But then what about us? So we're here this morning being challenged. Who is this Jesus for us? Who is this Jesus? Is he just another good man giving us good advice like Irma Bombeck or whomever you want to follow? Or he is really the presence of God? Because so often we pick and choose what we want to believe about Jesus because it doesn't fit our ideas. But if he's really the voice of God, then everything he says should challenge and guide us. And then what is the gift that he gives us? Not only eternal life in heaven, but he gives us the gift of how to live this life so that we won't be thirsting for the wrong things. And then what effect does it have on us? Don't we come here week after week and are we really changed very much by our worship together? I don't think so. But that's what Jesus wants to change us, to go out and spread his message to others. When is the last time we talked about Jesus to somebody else? I'm not talking about standing on the street corner or ringing doorbells, just among your family and your friends and your coworkers or neighbors. Do you ever mention that somehow what Jesus teaches guides our lives? So again, we're challenged at the well to answer the question, who is this Jesus for us? Individually, personally. What does he give us? And are we willing to listen? And then can we take that message out of here into our daily lives?